we're obsessed with serial killers and darkness anyway, because we are obsessed with these articles that we click on about like racism and bigotry and sex. It doesn't come from a place. It comes from the same reason why we watch car accidents, why we rubberneck. It's not from a place of altruism. If you want to tell yourself that the reason why I love reading these articles about progressive ideology and bad things that happen in society is because I care, you're full of shit. You love reading about the awful thing the same way you watch the accident. And you might as well be watching Dexter. You might as well be watching Hannibal. You might as well be a sociopath yourself, or you're a sociopath by proxy. Like John Wayne Gacy. John, it's like your idol. You just don't realize it. You're just as you're not you're like it's like being John Malkovich, but you're being John Wayne Gacy. Like you're like looking at the world through his eyes. You don't realize it.
So, speaking of John Wayne Gacy, I actually have a story. I'm from the Midwest, so.
Oh my God! I don't want to know what this is.
So, no, I mean it's pretty wild. So, my dad, and he used to tell this to us just to creep us out when we were younger, me and my brother.
Oh my God!
Maybe it was like a don't stay out after dark, but my dad, when he was younger, was stopped. And I can't remember the town that he said he was in, but he was with his friend, Bobby. Yeah, he was with his friend Bobby, and this van pulled up, and this guy was like, "Do you guys want?" He made up some story to try and lure, like, "Hey, you guys have to come check this thing out," or da 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 da. And my dad was like, "Who, me?" And he was like, "No, your friend."
Oh, what? He liked Bobby.
He liked Bobby.
How did So what are you saying? What happened?
So his friend went with him.
Bobby.
But
and what happened to Bobby?
I don't know.
What? What do you mean? Bobby went with this guy. What and then what happened to Bobby?
So Bobby left with him. I mean, this guy, and like my dad said he had like full clown face, like makeup on too. Yeah, like the creepiest story. And Bobby left and never came back.
Oh my God, that's insane. Your dad. Your dad was rejected by John Wayne Gacy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is what was Bobby like? Was Bobby like the Timothy Chalamet of the neighborhood, or is he like a nice little twink?
Jean-Benet Bobby.
Yeah, was he like a little like, I don't know, a amorphous, or what was it? Not amorphous, but androgynous twink or something. Like, I guess a twink's just androgynous by default. Was Bobby handsome?
I don't know. Maybe he was racist. I mean, my dad, maybe John.
Does your dad try to say stuff like, well, I was like, I didn't part my hair that day, and so maybe. Does he ever try to defend, like, he's like, well, I'm sure he liked me a lot, but I was, I didn't take a shower, so I probably smelled, So that's he would have picked me.
He does think possibly. I mean, his friend was a like white Irish guy. I remember his last name was Irish. I just can't remember the specifics. But he does think he could have been racist because my dad is a mixed African American, Caucasian, Native American. So he had an afro. I mean, he does. One theory is that John Wayne Gacy is racist.
I'm looking up John Wayne Gacy, racist, and I don't know. I'd like to say that that's an excuse for your dad as to why he wasn't picked, but I don't think that he was racist. I think that he was an equal opportunity serial killer. I think he did kill some black kids. So that's not your dad. Just wasn't, was no Bobby. No offense to your dad, but that's an insane story there, Sarah. That's like the coolest story I've ever heard. Maybe that your father was walking with his best friend, and then you look at Bobby on Google and see that's Bobby Kendrick. Yeah, that was one of the victims. I'm like, Jesus, it's insane.
Now, on the flip side of that, my aunt was a nurse at the mental health hospital where Agin was in Wisconsin. Another serial killer story from my family. But she was there while Agin was held there at Mendota Hospital. And he told the other nurses that she would make a good lampshade. On the flip side, one serial killer wanted a member of my family and another did not. So
Jesus,
the odds are...
Yeah, that's how Silence of the Lambs got the whole thing like, was she a great big fat person? For the skins, to stretch him out. Oh my gosh.
That was
By the way, why did Buffalo Bill let Clarice into the house? Just because she waved a badge without a warrant? He knows he has the butterflies flying around. What is he thinking? Like, what are the odds that he's not in trouble already when a FBI agent comes asking questions to him?
Well, he's got to act like everything's okay.
Why did he let her in the house without a warrant?
Wow.
Yeah, just you come on. I'm like, oh man, that was so stupid. That was a movie. I get it, but I'm like, Clarice Starling goes on her own. She doesn't have any backup. That sets up the whole scene with the night vision at the bottom of in the basement.
That's so scary.
But it's like, why would you ever? There's no reason to do. It's like. You know what it's like? It's like in those police shootout videos or just civilian videos where a guy's leaving a store and shooting, and you decide to follow them blindly, and then you get shot right when you walk out because you can't see where the guy's. It's blind. You're not supposed to do that. It's like that type of weird shit. It's like vigilante It's like no one would ever do this. So you're a woman with a guy that kills women specifically and removes their skin, and you decide, oh, I'm going to show up. Yeah, why not?
She wasn't sure that it was him, though.
She
was following a lead.
But what you're not going to get credit?
I'm with her. She had to go rogue too. Wasn't there a reason she had to go rogue? I'm saying that, but I'm pretty sure she had to go rogue.
Fly away now, Clarice. Fly, 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 fly away. I love that movie. It's so good, man. I think
you have a little Lecter in you.
Yeah, a little bit. I think
based off of his requirements for his cell. Yeah, exactly. That's where you'd be like, I want.
That is the Duomo off the Piazza di España by the Bernini Galleries. If you haven't stayed at the Trafalgar Suite at the Hotel Eden, I strongly suggest it. I once had a friend for dinner on top of the Hassler. Beautiful view of Roma.
God.
Delicious. Yeah. We actually, in this country, we like to elect serial killers. Well, actually, in the entire world. They're really, generally speaking, like failed actors. Zelensky, serial killer, without question. I would not be surprised if Zelensky in Ukraine is actually the one causing all of these, the bombings of the train stations, whatever. He might be doing this to gain sympathy and whatever for his Dancing with the Stars episode when he's done being the Ukrainian slaughterhouse that he is, because I don't know what he's doing defending Ukraine. What is he trying to accomplish? He's failing. He's literally taking his troops to the slaughter. How is he not a sociopath? He just can't. He's killing people by trying to win an unwinnable war. I digress. Locally, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, he looks like Patrick Bateman. We have Justin Trudeau in Canada. The guy is a failed actor, should have been on Days of Our Lives. We love actors. We love Cory Booker, and Anna Katchian says this brilliantly on the Red Scare podcast most recently. Cory Booker is what both his parents are Dell and Microsoft executives. Cory Booker is what Justin Trudeau's blackface would be if it was a real person. Just completely fake, completely dramatic. Like everything's like, it was hard for me to be a black man, okay, in this black family with my family. My father made only $3.5 million a year when he was at Dell. That was difficult. A lot of my friends made fun of me in Vail for such a small pittance of a salary. I could not afford to go to San Moritz some winters. It was hard for me. I was embarrassed. Stuff like that. Just like, like, okay, buddy, you're really out of touch. He's not really part of the black community. He's not really part of like anything. He pretends to be. And then it's like you're a psychopath. He might as well like I don't know, like wear clown makeup too. He might as well like make lampshades of like little children. I don't. It's just as fake because you're like lying to your constituency about like their struggle. His family's wealthier than mine. Like it's just like you're not real. So why do you lie? Just because you're black does not mean that you like know the black like struggle. Like it's not the same. It's not the way it works. Socioeconomics do come into play if your dad was the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a guy who was black during the financial crisis. He made $30 million a year. I would not have that kid go to Harvard over a kid from the inner city and say, oh well, they're both black, so he's picked the kid with the best grades. That's not the way it works. No, that should not be the way it works.
Yeah, that's a sad truth.
But then you got Emmanuel Macron in France. The French election's coming up. Very handsome guy, accused of taking bribes, marrying into the Estee Lauder family. A lot of weird stuff with this guy. Corrupt motherfucker, but a handsome little prick. A handsome little people.
Married into the Estee Lauder.
Well, he's something about Estee Lauder. He took money for political donation money to do some favors. I don't know. He's in it thick with some weird stuff. There's some stuff going on with insider trading as well. It's like, I don't know. The French elections are going on. There's some weird stuff happening. You've got some far right people. Marie Le Pen, who I actually admire. Le Pen wants to ban Muslim headscarves in the streets and halal and kosher butcher shops. She wants to drastically reduce immigration all across Europe into France, which I think is really, when you're racist, but you're racist to everyone equally. I respect that. I think that's good. You hate the Jews, you hate the Muslims, but equally, that's a healthy thing. I like that equal opportunity. That's honest. What are you going to say? She just hates everyone that isn't French and Christian. That, at least she knows what she wants. I mean, half the people in this country don't even know. Call me they be, and I'm non-binary queer. I like yellow starbursts sometimes, but also pink ones. What are you? How do you want your burger? Medium, well, rare, well done. What? You pick something. I admire someone that wants something.
Pick a lane.
Yeah.
Pick a lane.
Pick a lane. Like the people that are overdosing in fentanyl tents, I have more respect for them. At least they know what they want. You know what I mean? You're into tents and you like what you like. Okay, that's you. That's fine. That's a good thing. But this whole oh well, I think things could kind of be where they are, but they can improve. See, if you're not a radical on the left or the right, you're just bullshitting. So you're like, oh well, I think we should strengthen our internal infrastructure of our country, improve foreign diplomacy. How should we do it? But they don't have the answer, because they do that. They have to go to an extreme. If it's not exactly as it is now, there has to be something new, and that new thing implies an extreme. They won't do it because they just want to get as many votes as possible. They're like a fucking Venn diagram of if I just say this, I get these people that are also part of this circle, and I can say this and this part of this circle, and I get the most votes and I win. It's all bullshit. It's like math. It's like you're boring. Go away. I'd much rather pick a guy who's I'd rather pick a woman that says I hate men. And I hate them, and I love pussy, and I want women to take all men's jobs. I fucking hate men. I'm a misandrist. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to vote for her. She's fucking just gets it. God, look at her. She's just absolutely knows. She's not faking it. I don't care that you have this weird idea. Everyone's racist. Everyone's angry. Some people actually want to kill each other. They're actually sociopaths, but they're honest about it. they actually are honest about it, like Pol Pot or I don't know, like someone like that, or maybe I think Kim Jong Un's father, Kim Jong Il, like one of the earlier ones, like the second rendition of that necrocracy, the one that's considered the supreme leader that's is dead, and even though he's dead, he's still the supreme leader. That weird relationship they have going on.
I think you're right. I think it's ill.
Il, yeah, it's like the father of Il, maybe two, but two generations, two degrees of separation. But like, yeah, I just like, I don't know. I like to know what someone's about. I need to know what someone's about. I need to know your shit. I can't stand like people who are like people that in Texas, for example, they have those Beto O'Rourke signs in their lawn. I'm like, can you tell me what Beto is like thinking? Like, what is he really about? Does he have any original thought in his head at all? He's like not even Hispanic, but his name's Beto. He like this like. Is that a cultural appropriation thing? Like just picking different things? Well, if I say this, I get these votes, and if I say these talking points, I get. Say something real. Say like I like my wife pegs me and I'm into that, and that's part of the thing I like to do. But I also like to go to church. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay, that's more about you. At least you're on it. Like you can't possibly be this perfect. You can't possibly be this boring. Like can't we get a little spicy? It's like, well, I like people from Venezuela, but I hate people from Nicaragua. The Nicaraguans are assholes. That's okay to say. I'm sure a lot of the Nicaraguans feel the same way.
I think it's not that like spicy all around. It's all a big act, I mean, it's all.
But they're not spicy at all. I'm spicy. I'm spicy because I'm not running for office. They're playing a game, but I'm like, isn't the reason Trump won is because he's a little spicy? Why don't you play that game?
He was also a part of like an underbelly game of something. I mean, come on.
Right, he has constituents, but he's playing to extremes that are not part of the party playbook. Like in other words, he's part of his constituents are actually people that like openly say, I don't want immigration because I think they're stealing our jobs, or I don't like Mexicans, I don't like Muslims. Those are extreme points. Like that is I like want someone to be honest. Like, be honest with your racism. Like Ilhan Omar, just say you hate Jews. Say it. You obviously hate them. Just fucking say it. Who are you? Like, do you think Jewish people are actually voting for you? No one that is a Zionist or is pro-Israel is voting for Ilhan Omar her next round and for Congress. They're not running. They're not thinking. She's not that bad. No, she is the biggest anti-Semite surreptitiously. She constantly undermines Israel. Just say, I hate the Jews. And it would just be like, oh, it's so fun because no Jew's voting for her. So it's things like that are like, I don't even understand. You can't just be like anti-Semitic. Like you can't just be anti-Semitic and just like embrace it.
It's so ingrained to practice, I mean, diplomacy and it's just, they're playing a very old game and the rules haven't changed from that, I mean. Unless you really want to go out on a limb and possibly dangle yourself out there to be categorized as like a radical the rest of your career, it's hard to come back once you make certain claims that are so spiced up and, Frank's red hot sauce, which is great, but it's hard to bounce back from that. So it's a commitment to be radical. You have to really want to be in those waters.
I like the idea that Marie Le Pen could win in France. And you know why she'd win? Because people in France don't really like the large segments of Muslim populations that are growing in their country. The people in London that might think the same thing. They're talking about something that is a cultural diversification issue that is simply lodged in the reality of cultural, like moral relativism and cultural diversity, being diverse and not hating other cultures, but having different value structures. And part of those value structures some people are afraid of being stabbed or having acid thrown in their face. Some people like the idea that, like, if their daughter's walking, with a man that's not married before 6 o'clock, that she's not going to be raped in the street and stoned. Those type of things.
Right.
So, like, I'm not that was not nice for me to say. Like, in general, you know what I'm talking about, but those type of things make people worried. Like it's not racist of me to say. It's not
Right.
Islamophobic. These are things that actually happen. Like, they happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's a thing where, like, well, what about French culture? The whole thing with the European Union is a problem, is that you're taking one segment of socioeconomic platitudes, which is like the German, Swiss, like, wealthy, and, like, destroying the middle class. And you're also engaging this large immigration policy where all these people are coming into countries and kind of, like, upsetting the cultural norms and historical contextualization of what that country is as a culture. And this is considered progressive. I don't necessarily know the destruction of history like we did, like, a few years ago with all the statues in the United States, the Confederate statues. Some people said, like, some of these Confederate statues were put up as a kind of like in spite or something, and they stand for racism and stuff. I'm like,
Well,
a lot of things are done in maybe bad taste or in poor ways, but, like, it's part.
I totally disagree with you right
What?
there. I mean, just the idea that a statue is meant for, like, hero. It's a very bold.
I don't think that the Robert E. Lee
Piece of
statue should be
art.
taken down, just as I don't think George Washington's should be taken down. Both of them had slaves.
Put them in a Confederate museum or something. They don't have to be out for the general public.
What I'm saying is, I don't think that black, at the
Block 'em
time,
away.
I don't think that black kids going to school were like, I'm really upset by the statue. I think that politicians use those statues for a point.
I think that it would bother their parents, and that their parents would. I think that's bothersome. I disagree with you. I think
You think that it
if you
randomly?
had to walk
You think it was
by
like
that
something
every
building up
day and you're
naturally?
like, "Oh."
You think the statues were built up naturally? Like, people were like, I really hate those statues, and then, like, the kids were like, Mom, I'm really upset about those statues. I know it's been 10 years. We just have to deal with it.
Let's put it this way. Let's say that Kim Jong-un is going to be immortalized in a statue, but he loses power, and somebody just has to walk by. Don't you think people would be like, I want that thing fucking down? Not like as a bold thing, but just like, hey, it's over. It's over.
Do you think the
Like,
first president of the United States shouldn't have a statue? Can I ask you a question? Abraham Lincoln, should he have a statue?
Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
Should he have it? Doesn't he already have, like, a...
Should his statue be removed? I'm asking you that.
I mean, I think if you're trying to get into, like, did he own his own slaves? And
No, I'm
things?
going even be deeper than that. Should Abraham Lincoln's statue?
I don't think a lot of people should be immortalized. Yeah, I don't think so.
Why?
Because a lot of it is hypocritical, and
You don't know
think
why
it's
I
big of a
think
hero.
maybe this is a tough one for both sides, yours and mine. I'm going to explain it to you, because I know that you're pretending, because you don't know. You're just trying
a
to...
little bit.
He signed the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah.
Which is, making slavery illegal, right? At least below
Yeah.
the Mason-Dixon line, or in general. He also was told people that he signed the Emancipation Proclamation out of political stress and, like, party politics. Basically, he wouldn't have if he didn't feel forced to.
Yeah.
So because of his intention being compromised and for the sake of politic, not because of, like, a deep moral integrity thing.
Yeah.
Should he have a statue?
That's the thing is, I think we need to maybe be choosier about who we're immortalizing.
If I like to rape midgets, and I was into raping midgets, but I was also the first president of the United States, should I have a statue?
No. Of course
If
not.
I slapped my wife open-handed once, and I was the first president of the United States, should I have a statue?
No.
If I didn't pay my if I didn't pay my horse parking tickets in Washington or Philadelphia, let's say, I didn't. I just kept putting my my horse on the post, and then not paying the fare. Should I have a statue?
Yeah, that one.
That's
I mean,
okay.
who doesn't put their horse?
All
Yeah,
right, fine.
that's
If I was the first president of Mexico and I'd like to go to pony shows in Tijuana and watch women being fucked by horses, if I was into that, but I didn't participate or help financially, I would wear a beard and no one knew I was in there. Is that okay?
No.
That is crazy to me. Okay, see, it's very like it's just not human. These are robots. It's the same thing as saying like, you know what? You know what'd be a good like artist, like a good humanitarian. Elon Musk, but it's funny. He's a good humanitarian and like in principle, but he's not human. He's an aspie. Like, I will shake your hand because this is proper decorum. Hi, I have no emotion.
Again, I think my theory that Elon Musk is actually just he has tried duplicating himself. He's in a coma somewhere, really, and this is the robotic version.
Well, what do you mean? So
Someone
he knew
else
that
is
the real version of
controlling.
himself sucked, so he turned into a robot? What do you mean? Like, what is this version
Possibly,
of?
I
Like, just
think-
aesthetically, it looks like a guy
I think
named
it's his
Elon?
first trial of his whole brain chip thing, and he is the first dummy. And
But then why is
this
it not
is a
out?
real
Why
thought
wasn't
that's
it out
occurred to
20
me. I'm
years
like,
ago?
I think it could be
You mean to tell me that
because it's failed within him. Obviously, something's not right.
I don't understand your logic. What do you think? What do you think of Elon buying $3 billion worth of Twitter? 10% of the company. Big 13F filing. Big player. Big boy.
I don't know. I think that was just a move just to remain like. I think it was a smart move.
Why?
I think
He doesn't need to.
it,
The stock.
Well,
I'll tell you
yeah.
this. The stock was trading at $35 a share, I think, maybe 39. At its high the last few years, it was like 70-ish. So it was definitely undervalued in terms of historical pricing. But the question with Twitter has always been monetizing the users. So I've done discounted cash flow valuations on Twitter and some other mechanisms of valuation. I've found the price to be fair around like $50 ish, which is kind of where it is at the. This is not like I'm a genius. What I'm saying is, there's a range, and it seems to be within the range. But the question is like, where do you get the money? Like, where's the money coming from? The users are going up, but the revenue's going down. So it's like, how do you monetize these people? What's the future of Twitter? So my question to you is, why did Elon buy Twitter? And what is his, what is like the purpose of, what's the benefit you think he brings to Twitter? And do you think there might be like a secular benefit, like a humanitarian thing of like free speech that he's going to try to implement? Even though Trump is still banned.
Yeah, I could see that maybe being a reason. Or honestly, I think he maybe just bought it because he could, because it's like if you had that much money and you had the opportunity to, it would be kind of a cool investment to get into. It would be just one of those things. It's like.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that, because going back to the censorship thing, the statues, do you think Trump should have been banned from Twitter when he was president during the insurrection thing? Even though he was found not guilty of insurrection during his impeachment trial? Do you think like he should still be banned?
Yeah, I mean.
And it's a private company, but like, do you think like, do you think the president of the United States should be censored?
I think when he was, because I mean, he sort of took it so, it's like he was like an angry old person using he didn't have a lot of couth or like.
A lot of people, the way you're talking about him is like kind of not clear. But what I think I'm getting at is the same thing a lot of people don't like about Trump is that his comportment, his presentation, his use of words is not
Well, that and it was
presidential.
so excessive. Like, if he would have maybe like fucked up a couple times and said outlandish things, but like, it's like the second something would happen, he's like on it and so
Do you know
hard,
why he
like
was banned?
3-4 times. Like, it's almost like where you're just like, Jesus, Aunt Carol, stop it with the Facebook comments. Like, people are just like, just enough.
Do you know
like,
why he was banned?
Well, I mean, tell me. I don't know which time, because I'm pretty sure it happened more than once.
Sort of.
Right.
He was reinstated temporarily, but it resulted from the January 6th incident on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
They thought he was promoting dangerous activity, like violent activity, insurrection act violation. You know, they committed a crime, possibly inciting violence. Right.
Yeah.
He was found not guilty during the impeachment process of that statute of the Constitution, but Twitter still has not reinstated his position as a subjective interpretation of his ruling still being excessive, even though he did not really tell anyone to storm the Capitol. In fact, he said the opposite. So my concern is, what if CBS and ABC and NBC all blocked Trump as president from going on air to discuss something important just because they didn't like him? Like, it's very interesting that even though Twitter's not a public utility, they were able to do that, and that censorship keeps happening. It seems to be for more far right leaning people, even this right leaning, like the far right, like terminology is very much used as a scapegoat, saying it's extreme, it's far right. It's like far right. Like right's okay, but far right. But now everything's far right. It's like it sounds like everyone's. If you're Republican, by definition, you are uneducated, you are racist, you are sexist, etc. and so forth.
I don't think you have to be all of them, but
well, like, so I'm bringing this full circle to Elon. Like, it makes me wonder, why did he buy? Like, he's never invested really in anything but his own shit. You know, like, he invests in himself. So it's very interesting from a humanitarian standpoint as what is the goal with Twitter. And he keeps putting out these fucking polls on Twitter. Like, he keeps asking people questions. Like, he asked them before he bought the shares, should I buy Twitter? It's like, what do you guys think of this? He just tweeted this 2 hours ago. Convert Twitter San Francisco headquarters to homeless shelter since no one shows up anyway. It's kind of funny because everyone's work from home. 91% of people, I just clicked yes. 91% of people said yes. That's hilarious. 8.3% said no. I wonder why. Who are those assholes? He said weather is fake. I seen Truman Show. He did talk about today how like famous people don't like post on Twitter, like Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber. Like what's the? This is interesting. This is my idea, actually. He says everyone who signs up for Twitter Blue, i.e. pays $3 per month, should get an authentication check mark. And I'm like, yeah, you should make people with check marks pay for their subscription. I agree with that. I would pay $3 a month to have a check mark because I do this shit and post on social media. And I've been begging for years to get a check mark. I've asked people to give me one that I know that are in that business. And it's like, why did they not take all these people that depend on Twitter and charge them money? I've seen for you, make it a subscription to have your check mark. Like some people do like make money off their Twitter. Like it's their platform for communicating. No, it's very irritating. But I don't know. Maybe it's not that interesting.
Well, I mean, I just think it's the same argument with like Twitter and free speech. And it's not just Trump, like other people, but it just so happens that like, why is it that every time I do think
Elon just tweeted this, and no ads. The power of corporations to dictate policy is greatly enhanced if Twitter depends on advertising money. It's true. monetize the users. Yeah, that should be where the money is.
I mean, isn't that how Facebook makes a majority of its money?
Yeah, but a lot of it's also selling your data, like private data, to third-party advertisers. These are the mechanisms. Actually, I think that will be the future of the way people work. I think there'll be no more middle class, and there'll be a universal minimum wage, and that will destroy, because of inflation, make things too expensive for everyday people. And people that are on the dole will be paid in dollars, and then rich people will use digital currency for the most part. And there'll be the barrier to entry will be so high just because the conversion rates will be so low. It's like, your dole is, or maybe even better, when you get your universal minimum wage, you can't convert it to digital currencies, or they'll just be like governmental digital currencies. You can't actually buy Bitcoin with it. Like, they won't let you, which basically is a inflationary protection measure and allows for arbitrage at the higher levels, but it doesn't let poor people lose all their money by trying to get rich. Some sort of sick thing like that. Because the whole idea of big government, big taxes, is beneficial programs and infrastructure, blah blah blah. But what it definitely does is it creates a barrier for anyone that's poor to become rich, because you can't save anything. And there's the whole precept of hating the rich, and the rich talking badly about themselves, which is just, I think, a design for the sake of control. It's self-deprecating. The white people giving money that are really rich to Black Lives Matter, and giving, saying how awful white people are and this and that. These are the most powerful white families that run the country, want to encourage all this negative, white people are evil, blah blah blah. That can't all just be about leveling the playing field. You don't just give up your mountain. It's a controlled opposition. The goal is control. So what was my point I was trying to make with the dole system, universal minimum wage? I know there was something I was trying to make with that, relevant to. I don't know. I can't think of it right now. But anyway, yeah. I wish Elon the best. He seems to be a fucking wrecking ball of success nonstop. He the guy's. I don't even know what he's trying to accomplish, other than maybe I should, it was one of my stocks to look at. Maybe I should buy 1,000 shares on Monday. I just I don't know. It goes to 100 or something. I don't know. It's very interesting. It has a lot of potential. The one caveat to Twitter that's detrimental is that there's an exclusionary cost structure of you don't need Twitter to look at tweets of other people, but there is a FOMO idea. I like the idea if you pay you can pay money to get a check mark to be authenticated. And if the price is $36 a year, everyone will pay that, because that is 1/5 of what they pay for their Netflix subscription. So they don't even, people will feel it, but not really. $36 a month, a year, everyone will pay for that. That's nothing. Yeah. So, and then everyone's certified, and it might be inverted. If you're not certified, you're the cool, you've never gotten a check mark, now you're really cool. You're a legacy system. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's deep. That's dope. Federal prosecutors argued Friday that 2 men charged with impersonating federal agents had compromised Secret Service members assigned to key security missions, potentially jeopardizing national security through the purpose of their alleged conduct and source of funding. But this all remains unclear as to why they did it. The intentions of Arian Tahazardi and Haider Ali, who lavished Secret Service officers with gifts and rent-free apartments, has so far been undeterminable. I think that's really awesome. Apparently these guys are related to Pakistan, and there's been some speculation as to whether Iran's involved in this, and but I'm what is the goal of they've offered guns and free apartments to these Secret Service officers, but to then coerce them into stealing secrets? Because Secret Service officers, a Secret Service officer, are very parallel to actually intelligence. They don't really have access to anything. They're not DHS. They're not embedded. They're a peripheral protection service. So it makes me wonder. I've dealt with Secret Service a number of times. I've said jokes during South by Southwest. Boston, the transportation secretary, this Boston guy, very thick accent. His Secret Service was there. I said I really like the movie Heat, and I would just make jokes do you have a Glock? I'm that's cool. Like I was just like it's like a child. like when Hillary Clinton was dating someone on my street, Lowell Street in Washington D.C., the same street that I think Tucker Carlson um, lived on before he was like there were protesters outside his house all the time. He had the Quinn's house. I really liked that house. We were at the bottom of the cul-de-sac. He was further up, and anyway, they would like harass his house, and like he decided to leave and like go somewhere. I'm like, that's kind of retarded. They're gonna find out where you are and harass you anyway. But yeah, actually, he might not even live in DC anymore. I think he's like in Maine now. I think it's my friend from Politico said that. But anyway, yeah, it's what the fuck was it? It's so late. It's like it's late, so I'm losing my track of what I'm thinking. But like, what is like the point of using like these people had an agenda? They were like flying back and forth out of the country. Like it has to be to assassinate someone, right? Because that's the only like point. Like, hey, like first you find like a gay one, right? That's what the thing. Like they were dealing with girls. It was like maybe not, but like maybe it's like you find a gay one that's a little unsure about himself, and it's like, hey, we give you Allah really was into hand jobs and men pleasuring men. It's okay, And then they're like, he's like, really? He's like, yeah. Have you seen the Quran? It's fine. And no, like Sodom Gomorrah, like your Bible. Come on. And he, like it's like, oh wow. So there's this guy like very like unsure of himself, gay, like Secret Service agent. Like they get him to like end up like shooting, like I don't know, like Kentaja Brown or some how do you say her name? The new justice, Kentaji. That's very, very confusing. Well, how do you say the vice president's name? Kamala. What's the non-racist version of that? No, he tries to kill one of them. Like that's the whole setup. Like kill one, like because like get the gay guy to feel really comfortable, and then like all of a sudden he's getting hand jobs from all these Middle Eastern guys, getting all this like ass play from all these handsome brown men. And then he shoots and kills the new Chief Justice, Ketanji Brown, or whoever they want, like in The Line of Fire with Clint Eastwood, something like that. Speaking of which, there's a picture of the confirmation, like kind of like it's after the confirmation, but it's like the introduction of the new Chief Justice in the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is wearing, so it's Joe Biden on the far left of the screen. Kamala or Camilla, whichever the non-racist version of her name is, on the far right. No one else. No Secret Service, no one else. Joe Biden's wearing a light blue suit, like the Suit Supply I'm 20 years old suit, like very like in vogue with aviators. And I'm like, and he's like, he's doing this, like there's no camera, so he just has his hands covered, like palms covering each other by his cock. So it's like his hands are folded over each other, like he's Secret Service. It's like he's guarding himself, and it's like he's her secret. He's Secret Service agent to Kentaji. The whole look makes him look younger, which I think is the point. And I was just like, this is a real weird thing. And then I'm like, this makes him look younger. And then the other day, he was wearing a pinstripe suit, like he was a fucking Wall Street banker. And I was like, they're trying to make him look powerful and young. They're doing everything they can to make, like, because he never wore suits like that. I've never seen him wear a Gordon Gekko, like, power suit, ever. I've never seen it. And then all of a sudden, he's like, it's like they want him, like, we got to do something to balance this. Like, Harry, I'm Joe Biden's husband. I feel it's warm in here, and oh no, that's diaper change. Hello, just like he's pissed himself. Yeah, he's like, I don't know, man. That was just a funny picture. Look that up.
Those aren't power naps.
Look that up, man. That's the shit right there.
That's hilarious. Well, I mean, it's got to be so hard to, like, in general, to style a politician, like, older men who are, I don't know.
Wouldn't it be funny if the two Muslim guys were really just two gay, like, men that pretending to be Secret Service? They're really into fucking Secret Service officers, like turning straight Secret Service officers gay, and they're really like ultra handsome, like Muslim, like our kink is like using like Glocks as dildos and getting like Christian conservative gays that are very, very, very like controversial and hypocritical. Like, how can you be Catholic and gay? It don't make no sense. And we get them into the Quran, and we get them into the oil, and my bald head, I rub the oil, and I put it all over his body. He loves it. And we just suck and fuck, and then we make him shoot. We make him shoot Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or I don't know, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Like, there's something there with these guys. Like, it just doesn't, like, this whole thing. It's like they spent tens of thousands of dollars in private. They also had like, first class flights back and forth to the Middle East. Like, what is the game? I feel like they're like, the next thing we're gonna find out is like they were like just like taking like all these gay Secret Service officers to like Muslim bathhouses. This weird like Muslim, anti-Muslim, like progressive Muslim, like like the Reform Muslims, like with Judaism. Like, it's like Muhammad loves to watch us fuck. Yeah, we are so progressive and cool. And like they have like
down this rabbit.
They have like 8-packs, and like they're all into like they all carry like really small guns, like women from like the Western times, and like a garter belt right by their cock. You know, and there's like pull it out. It's like, which gun do you want to see? And it's like, and he shows like his giant dick, and it's like also this small little gun. Like, oopsie daisies.
You're gonna write the first porno.
Yeah, yeah. But the whole thing is to coerce these guys, and they film it, and then they're like the guy's like, you know, like not out of the closet, and they film the gay sex, and there's like, okay, they bring him into like, you know, a cafe, and they show him on like their iPhone, whatever, and they're like, okay, we can show this to your friends. I'm not fucking done. We can show this to your friends, to your wife, to your principal from high school, to your daughter Caroline.
God, this accent is very.
or we can fuck after this club sandwich lunch, and then you can kill Kentaji
if the listeners
Brown.
could only see your face right now doing this slow.
That's the face I do when when cars come by at night. It's one of the faces. I'm starting to do it during the day too, and I'm worried that people like. This one woman was walking today. She was a very attractive looking woman. She looked like she might have been. She looked the girl from Cersei from Game of Thrones. Headey. Lena Headey.
That's right.
Yeah. She saw me do the weird face because I was during the day, and like I like zoned out when I did it because I was looking at cars from my periphery, but I realized like it's during the daytime walking straight, and like there were no cars. This woman walking close. So I didn't see her even though she was walking straight at me, and she tried to be nice because I had a dog. She had a dog, and then I realized she was kind of like, this guy must be a freak. And I should have realized from her perspective that I had made that face and she was just being nice to get away from me because she's like,
what? The height probably didn't help with the face.
There's
if you
no
were
rape,
a short
there's
guy,
no, you know, by a school, there's lots of workmen out, you know, it's like there's no reason for like to be fearful. But she definitely. At one point, I saw her walk around again, and then she turned around and went the other way. I'm 90% sure it's all about like this fucking guy. And I felt bad about that, but like, yeah, I don't know.
I think your height maybe was like if I would think if a short guy was walking around making oddball kooky faces, I would giggle and be like, oh, that's
I think
cute.
that when you become married, that guys like me, I've noticed some interesting things where like. Happily married women feel like I cannot talk to this guy. This is not a good idea. The one thing, like I saw a girl at the gym. No, I was not even looking at this woman. She just like, I guess maybe she would be like a attractive woman. There would be some like narcissism. She's well off. She, for whatever reason, puts on a sweatshirt over her ass while she's wearing her tight, like, you know, leggings, like in the middle of her outfit. Like she's working nearby me. I haven't really noticed her, but she does it as if like, I know that's what you want to look at. Like, or like, I'm just like, yeah, I wasn't really looking, but now I'm looking because I'm like, that's just silly. Because you got close to a guy like me and you're doing exercises near me and you don't want that to be whatever. But like, that's a happily married woman or someone who's respectful of her marriage. But then I've had women like at bars and stuff like that. Like that are like, there's one woman I remember, she's like a teacher visiting DC once, and I was there, and she's this gorgeous, like fantastic, like melons. They were just so like firm, and I was like 19 or 20, and she was like, said something like about like guys that look like you, or like someone that looks like you, blah blah blah. It was so obvious she was hitting on me, and I was like, I don't know, but like she's also married. She's like has a rock on her. She was there for some I don't know. It was like she was like, this is like casual sex when in Rome type thing, and she was like, I should have gone for it. And I did sleep with a lot of older women and moms when I was younger, but I don't know why I'm talking. Like, I honestly, it might as well be 3:00 in the morning. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm so apologize to people listening that
before we go, give us another slow, seductive Middle Eastern. That's gonna haunt my dreams tonight. I know.
My name is Mohammed. You can find me on my Discord chat. Mohammed 1 at Apple Bottom Shabazz Discord.com. I don't know. I don't even know what Discord like handles are, but like, yeah. Oh, this is a funny story. Like, I read about this woman, How to Murder Your Husband. A writer is on trial for allegedly murdering her husband, and Nancy Crampton, and she allegedly wrote a book. She wrote a book about killing her husband, how to kill your husband and get away with the money, like years ago. And she's accused of killing her husband for his $1.5 million life insurance policy. Oh, God. And it's really like, set herself up for her title of the book is literally how to murder your husband. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I'm like, also, she's old and he's old, and women don't like always outlast the men, like, you know. So well, it's like, the
question is, how did she do it?
A Glock. That's not the question. The question is who did it and why.
Why is a Glock is not how you get away with murder.
Not necessarily, but in her case, they found like the ammunition like near her. So the Glock was like her husband's gun. She had ammunition and some like property of hers they could match that particular Glock. So yeah, it's not good. I mean, like, it definitely spurred them on. Like the worst marriage of Georgetown. What's his name? Albert Muth, that killed Viola Drath. That Christopher Waltz movie. It's about it. I knew Albert Muth. This crazy eccentric gay guy that was married pretended to be Iranian military officer, walk around Georgetown in D.C. in a military outfit.
I wish you were like a crazed eccentric.
I am a crazed eccentric person. I just haven't made.
I wish you were gay.
Oh, gay.
It would be so fan.
I know some gays that wish I was gay. I actually am very good at pretending to be gay. I'm excellent at it. I've had women with my cock in their mouth stop and say, "You're not gay, are you?" I'm like, I was raised by a single. A little bit, you know. It's just like I've definitely. Have
they really done the?
I definitely have my moments when I'm being goofy and self-deprecating, where my humor and stuff is so like, I'm just not. I'm very comfortable with my sexuality, where I could see someone thinking he's either really goofy and funny, or he's definitely gay, or like somewhere in between. And
to me, it's hilarious because usually. Like, I've hung out with you in public spots enough now to know that, like, certain people hit on you, and it's like you can just feel how much they want, like, gay, old, straight. It's from all avenues, but, like, the man at the grocery store is maybe my favorite.
And one day
with
they
the
won't.
daffodil.
And I gotta suck it up. You gotta soak it all in. One day, yeah. It's also the age group is so wide. Like, they're just like, you know, they're old gay men, they're older women, they're really younger women, they're women and quite frankly, I'm getting to an age where like dating my age is like basically it's just an affair or a woman who's batshit crazy. Because the reason why she's not like, my mom was 35 when she got married, but she was a model. And she dated Harrison Ford, Al Pacino, and Jimmy Connors, the tennis player. But my mom was batshit crazy. My mom picked my dad, who was batshit crazy. There's the reason my mom was single when she was 35 is because she was crazy. Also, she was independently wealthy from her family, so there's definitely like she could be crazy, and she never had to check her crazy to get married like other women. So she was allowed to be crazy for a longer period of time, which is like not good. It's like giving your kids money. It's like they get their money. Well, why would your smart kid who has your genes do as well as you did when you didn't have money? Now that he has money, don't give your kids money. I.e., look at me. So it's like one of those things. It's like, maybe my crazy mom would have been less crazy. Maybe Roger Federer would have changed his backhand earlier if he had lost to Nadal and Djokovic from 2005 to 2007. Maybe if he didn't have that dominant success, he wouldn't be like, I'll just keep hitting. Eventually, I'll crush these guys. And maybe he would have adjusted his backhand and would have developed that more and changed rackets sooner, and would have had more majors before, the nonsense now where he's basically on expo. Sorry, I love tennis, but it's just one of those things, man. I'm very fortunate that random people of different ages.
It's been fun for me to see how different groups of people react to you, like as an outsider. That's been a very enjoyment of my life.
Mike Tyson's coach used to talk to him about there's no such thing as you, there's just the task. And I have a natural predilection towards seeing situations from like artistic standpoint of like me outside of myself. Mm-hmm. Like I can sense what other people want. I can sense what would be funny in a situation if I said it. Yeah. And like it happens almost like in parallel with present time, so it's not even effectual. I'm not trying. It's like instant. Yeah. And I don't know that that's a good way to live life in terms of productivity or like whatever, but it's definitely a thing that like I don't know, people gravitate towards. Like there's an like when I met a Rockefeller, and I didn't really know they were a Rockefeller, but I knew they were well off, and this is recently, and I would just like kind of made jokes about how his girlfriend's like the perfect combination of sexy and beautiful, and she was gorgeous and everything. But like I made inappropriate comments and didn't like placate this person. I made inappropriate things, and I said things that were off-putting, but also very funny, and it was okay because they don't ever get that, and to the end, that's like us being original. I definitely succeeded. Like I am not the person that says, yes, you're 50 pounds overweight. His personal trainer, right, would say you look amazing, right? Because they're trying to keep their job, right? Like he's had people his entire life that might say you're amazing. So that type of thing. But
as somebody who almost nearly had you as their personal trainer, I could say you weren't actually. You would.
I'd be a great personal trainer.
Yeah, you do have that, but you are.
But there would be days where I just didn't want to, like, I wouldn't want to perform. Like, see, personal training, like anything else, is customer service. And there are days where I just want to say to the customer, go fuck yourself. I am not interested in pretending.
Definitely. You nearly, I don't even know how long that journey lasted, like a week. And then I was like, listen, and you were like, yeah, whatever. Like it was just mutual.
Because if you have to, you can't like. I know what's right. I know what needs to be done, and I'm not going to push someone to an extreme. So there's plans and stuff. But if you're not going to follow the course, you're not going to do the things. It's just you got to move on from it. Like it's okay. Okay, you don't want to do these walks. You don't want to do these. You don't want to change these things. I'm like, I don't. It's like I'm not going to change what I think needs to be done because your version of it is like.
But it's so funny. You just say you don't shift or adapt. Well, you're like.
No. See, there's a danger there. You definitely have to adapt to the personality of the person. But if procedurally, if it's all like, well, I want you to incorporate honey buns and Cheerios into your diet plan for me, and I'm like, I don't really know what I could, but then your energy levels would be so low because you wouldn't get to eat anything else that I knew you wouldn't.
There's nothing that will replace cereal in my life. I love it.
Cereal, actually, I really don't know that you can eat like cereal. Like a box of cereal is like 2,000 calories minimum. So that is your diet. So if you eat I could eat a box of cereal right now and want to eat like 10 cheeseburger. It's just not filling. Yeah.
Well, yeah. No,
It gives there's no nutrients. It's like all fiber.
I know. It's just something throughout my life. I've always had like a late night.
I think you can eat cereal.
Thing.
You just, but here's the thing: if you're gonna eat cereal, you have to work out. You have to go on walks. You have to do like. I'm not gonna make this all about your journey as
right,
turning into like
to do this.
a fitness model or something. What I'm trying to say is, you have to, like, my friend asks me every year, like he'll say stuff like, how do you, because like my body can change pretty drastically. I can get like huge, I can get super cut, I can like have gigantic arms all of a sudden. And he'll ask me questions about the gym every year, and we're in our 30s now, and I'm like, listen, buddy, if you're not doing it now and you don't know how to do gym shit, like not rocket science, like gym shit, like, so you curl like, and he's not an idiot. It's like, it's clearly he thinks he's supposed to do something, but he has absolutely no interest. And so in order to supplant the doing, he likes to, well, if I talk about it, it's like the same thing. I'm like, ugh, dude, like the gym, don't like the gym, whatever. It's not that hard. If you want to like look better, eat less, and like, or eat a lot more protein, and then you eat the same and you just feel full all the time, and it's kind of boring. But like the more protein you eat and the less other stuff, it changes your body. You basically don't have to do anything.
Well, there are things too. I don't know why it's taking a health term, but like things that have helped me, because weirdly,
oh my god, what is there? My podcast turned into a fucking like bullshit thing, man.
Well, weirdly, like, because we were both talking about, I had told you how I had lost like not a significant amount of weight, but monthly without changing a whole lot at all. But I have been consistent with intermittent fasting, water. I've started something that you've recommended, that you researched for me, which was very nice.
What?
For PCOS.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a topical. It's a brand new thing. It works amazingly well. But those things, I've lost like 15 pounds and like pretty slowly. It's
You're
been
welcome.
like a good.
You're welcome.
Well, but without,
Daddy knows how to make the fatties get the skinnies and the skinnies get the skinniers, and the
I mean, I could do more.
the pudding and put the pudding back into the pantry and get into the chicken and the tightness and the.
There are always like small things people can do to like sort of, that you've helped me realize. But anyway, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to, again, it's like a lot of people think that they need to talk to doctors or experts, whatever that means. And the fact remains, these topics are very subjective. You're like, what's healthy for you might not be healthy for someone else. There's certain things that you can eat that other people just get bored of. You have to try things. But I don't think that really being healthy, it's just, well, I'll say this. If there's other things you want to do with your life, that you want to, goals you want to succeed in, having the energy to do so is not just some like bullshit about like, oh, your gut health is like some sort of like crystal karma, blah blah blah, or it's like real. Like, if you want to have more energy to get things that actually matter done. And I'm not talking about like conquer the world by getting 6-pack abs. It's like no one gives a shit. No, like no one cares. Yeah. But if you want to have more energy and feel better to do the things that matter, like play with your kids, don't break your hip when you go for a walk, like, I don't know, spend the extra hours in the office and not be tired. Your diet and exercise do matter. It does make a difference. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. But
you would be a great like health, not only personal fit. This would be a good role for you.
You're giving me like a position that I don't need.
Want it at all
like,
either.
You know what you should do on the side? You should be a Tony Robbins for for looking savage. I'm like, nah, I'm good. It's all right. But
I don't even think you would. I think you would just know like realistic goals for people and help.
do you know
And be very
realistic? You know what a realistic goal is?
What?
Making sure that every illegal immigrant in this country has an iPhone 14. We need to make sure that they have one, because so they can enjoy the Retina display. That's
I should have
important.
told Verizon this past week in switching phones that I was a part of that. I completely forgot about that.
Do you think that we should give illegal immigrants the iPhone 14?
I see. It's a bit, so I know that this recently happened where they're getting, but I'm like, there are tons of like recycled phone companies. There's certain.
Do you think we should give illegal immigrants phones?
Yeah, because there are programs where people like donate old phones and then they use those for, other reasons too. I mean, I don't think that it's some major like.
Do you think we should give homeless people in this country houses?
Anything.
Like people living in tents. Shouldn't the people in tents get phones before the people that are coming into the country illegally?
I don't know. I think I don't think so.
Oh, I'm a drug addict living in a tent. Can I call my parents? No. Jose, you want an iPhone? It's like, what? It's crazy. It's crazy. Like,
well,
we have
I think
a
that they
fentanyl
have
crisis
faith
in this country, and COVID and fucking like
yeah,
Ukraine are still number one in our policies.
Yeah,
but nuts.
you can't choose where you're born and all that. Some people escaping that.
What does that have to do with us, the United States? What does
I'm talking about the point that
refugees-
you brought up before, where somebody in a tent or with
What?
like a drug problem could get a phone. That's a choice. Like some people don't have a choice when they come over here.
Not everyone, I think. I don't like. I know. So I don't necessarily agree that all drug stuff is a disease. You know what I mean? Like the people that do counter you will say like, oh well, it's a disease. Like they can't help it. There's like a guy who like will run over his daughter going like she's on a tricycle behind his car. He's going to work in the morning and he like just runs her over and kills her, and then he becomes a heroin addict because he's so depressed. Like I feel that's not a disease. Like that horrible thing happened to him and is traumatic, and he's using a drug to offset the pain. That's a choice for him. That's also a horrible psychological manifestation of PTSD.
It does speak to like how we treat mental illness. I don't know how we're climbing down this rabbit.
But you know else a choice?
What?
Coming to the border like country illegally. That's a choice. Unless you're trafficked. In which case it's not a choice. I
do believe that people are escaping more dire things. I think if people are already here, they already know the system. They already know. They're not escaping anything but like personal. I think people coming over are escaping like
being
real.
Raped by your stepfather and going to a tent and doing heroin versus escaping being raped and using it as a drug mule in Honduras from MS-13. Like, what I'm saying is, I actually don't think that there is enough infrastructure on the people that are suffering in this country. And what I mean to say is, the people here, there seems to be something happening, I think, that more than people realize, where people are using drugs more than ever before. Young people are committing suicide more than ever before. And there's a greater and greater growing disparity between the wealthy, the middle class, and like somewhere in between where it's disappearing. And like segments of the middle class are like being like chopped off.
Yeah.
And they're going to tents.
Yeah.
I do think it's a serious problem. And especially the gig economy, where you're one like Fiverr job away or lack thereof from living in a fucking tent. I do think that there's a problem. Especially with the recidivism rate of feeling as though you're not getting anywhere because you're working jobs that just don't allow you to make any money to save.
Yeah.
And it's not a question of like fiscal responsibility or like monetary policy in terms of your own self-determination. It's like, literally I work 2 jobs and I have a dependent and I can't save any money and I'm just losing my fucking mind. I'm not saying that like, the world doesn't need ditch diggers. Of course it does. But what I'm saying is there seems to be a growing problem of drug use and tents and homelessness that's a bit more like in mental illness amongst young people that's a bit more disturbing than people realize. Like if people aren't aware of the fentanyl crisis in this country and the opioid epidemic by now, and the fact that our country's policies from a executive branch standpoint seem to be like first Ukraine, second COVID, third like I don't know, like water fountains and like random cities like Biloxi, Mississippi, and then it's the opioid crisis. It's a very, very disgusting thing. The idea that we're sending billions of dollars of aid to the Ukraine, but that we allow Mexico to filter in all this poison into our borders. Like we could easily raid the Sinaloa cartel and fuck them up today, but we don't.
Yeah.
We don't do it.
And who
It's
knows
weird.
who they're in cahoots with here, too. I mean, we don't do it, I think, for a reason. Like, there's some more sinister things going on with that, I'm sure.
Why don't we give free phones to people living in tents so they can call their parents and say, please help me get to rehab?
I'm pretty sure they have, like, I have seen homeless people with phones. I don't think they're that hard up on the whole phone front. I think they know how to
You know what I mean?
play the system enough.
What I'm saying is that there seems to be like...
There's like one person in the group who has the phone, who has the minute. Like I'm sure they've worked something out.
We're not just giving legal immigrants phones. We're giving them a lot more. The point I'm making is it seems like this is a very bizarre thing of subsidizing votes.
Mm-hmm.
You give these people money, you give these people phones, you explain to them where it's coming from. You have a political regime that encourages subsidies and welfare, and it just creates a system of like subsidizing votes from third world players that are coming in, usurping the kind of the standard of like what it means to be a citizen, and for this by the notion of I'm a what do you call it? Please give me amnesty. I'm a what's the word? I'm Episcopalian. I'm sorry, it's hired. So what's the word? I am a refugee. I am a. So it's like such an easy thing to say. It's just like our country is so fucked, and the people here are like that aren't like skilled and like Python and everything. Like they're so fucked. And like the average millennial has less than $5,000 in savings, or whatever. Like whatever. Like the young people
today. You make me feel 30 good to be an artist.
No, it's just like there seems to be this huge problem that like is worse now than it was 20 years ago, and I am just like kind of befuddled by how, if you're liberal even and you love Biden and you think Trump's the worst thing since, I don't know, like whatever, you don't see the problem happening with your own people in this country that are less fortunate. You're more focused on like I don't know, like sexism and all this, not like this ephemeral like not ephemeral, but like in the ether, like, oh, look at the wage gap, like univariably, or look at like what about like this be people that are just white and poor or black and poor, but they have drug problems or living in fucking tents.
Yeah,
and you think,
I think
like,
in a whole it has to be addressed, but I don't.
There's no marches for homeless people living in fucking. That's the whole point I'm making. It's like it's weird. It's like,
but
that's
not what our country was built on. Was to not let people in, if anything.
Not
like
let them in, whatever. But like the amount of money that's available to people coming into this country illegally, like it's a deep problem. The fact that you have to do that over and over and over again, and that there's incentives embedded in doing so. Not, well, they're coming here to work hard. Of course they work hard. They fucking schlepped from like, Guatemala to the border. Yeah. But it's not for nothing. It's because there's actual money available.
Well, I
More
wonder
than
if
just a
there's
job.
something like
Subsidies,
maybe they
government programs,
can't
welfare
bring
for
their
immigrants.
phone with them for a certain reason, and then they're
Phones.
just yeah, and then they're just out of touch. Like maybe they have to leave for tracking purposes, or who the fuck knows. Maybe they have to leave their phones in Mexico, and that would pose an issue because how are they going to get? What if they came over by themselves? They need to be. I agree with that. I think people should be
Do you think that
able to keep in touch.
Do you think
It's maybe a
that
basic need that
lawyers should be criticized based on who they defend? Do you think that
Mm.
lawyers should be like accused of being hypocrites, ones that believe in like progressive ideologies in one sense, but then defend the guy who's accused of rape? Do you think that lawyers should be persecuted publicly for who they defend?
No, because it's not supposed to be a personal choice with a lawyer. It's supposed to be, you know. So I don't think so. No.
There's a lot of lawyers that are like Leon Black's lawyers, the guy accused of he gave $158 million to Epstein. He's accused of having an affair, like a sexual assault or paying off some Russian model, what have you. There's a lot of this like theory of progressive lawyers publicly, or lawyers choosing to defend certain, like Harvey Weinstein. Like, how dare you defend someone like that? He doesn't deserve a defense. I'm glad that you agree that he does by the rule of law. Like, everyone deserves defense regardless of their crime.
Yeah, I mean, I think otherwise you just live in that would just be insanity. Like, it's a fair. Everybody deserves a fair trial.
The ESG.
By the way, that is not me breathing. I don't know if that's picking up.
No, it's not picking. They can't pick up the dog.
My
breathing.
dog is the heaviest breather and the light snorer of all time. He's very sweet, and he fell asleep by me.
I think the ESG scores for companies is going to be used as a mechanism for social credit scores, basically forcing certain companies that don't have an ESG model in the future, that they have a low score, that they will be penalized, and it'll protect bigger companies from competition. So that the banks, for example, that are afraid of fintech players, alternatives to banks like Bitcoin lend, whatever, like cryptocurrencies, like what do you call it? I can't think of the thing that allows for lending, Avanti, or so. Anyways, these type of fintech alternatives to classical banks will not have the same ESG scores. The banks will collude and try to push lobbying efforts to force regulation of fintech operators, for example, for ESG scores to be a certain level. And there's the idea of progressive ideology for the good of the public, for the good of like the society, for the good of governance, from the personal standpoint, is now being applied from social credit scores to the public standpoint, public corporations, through the ESG. And ESG is just a fake bullshit number. But it's going to be regulated in a way that's going to be used as a mechanism of control. And all it means is how good or how low is your carbon footprint, or rather how high it is. And you'll be penalized accordingly. Those type of things, which I think is so. Racism, sexism, progressive talking points, environmental impacts will actually be part of how your ESG score is ranked, and I think that's going to be used as kind of a a weapon at the corporate level, which is one of the worst things that's ever happened in the progressive ideology since 2014, the rise of social media, is that the progressive talking points of sexism, social democracy, versus capitalism, rich people are evil. This is escaped the college campuses, and now it's becoming embedded in corporate like mandates. Like I read the J.P. Morgan's annual report from Jamie Dimon, and it's just like so much of this bullshit, like progressive, blah blah blah. It's so fake. It's so frighteningly disturbing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how many minutes we've done. Let me see. Hour 30. I'm exhausted. It's 4:00 in the morning. Sorry for the late episode. I was, Sonoma Cartel wanted me to drop off a package. I can't make them upset. I don't want to lose another finger. So great talking to you guys. I'm gonna go work on my piano and try to, do what I can with what I have left. And I'll talk to you later.
You're really gonna try and do Middle Eastern accents.
I will play piano with my 8 fingers, and it will be amazing. All right, guys. Bye.